The first thing you need to understand about humans is that they look absolutely, completely, 100% harmless. No claws. No venom glands. No bioelectric field. No armored exoskeleton. Nothing. Just soft, squishy, pink-skinned creatures who walk on two legs like they invented the concept, breathing oxygen at a pressure that would make most species yawn. My name is Gorrath Vel, third-ranking scout of the Veth Dominion fleet, and I say all of this because, 6 rotations ago, I watched a human girl, a small one, barely past their juvenile phase, kill a Drakon slasher in under 4 seconds. 4 seconds. I have seen fully armored Veth warriors take 7 minutes to kill a Drakon slasher. I have seen 2 of them try together and fail. I have attended the funerals. But before I tell you what she did, I need to tell you how she got there. Because the story does not start with the kill. The story starts with the sound. We had been tracking a distress beacon near the edge of Sector 12, the kind of sector that veteran pilots call the mouth, because things go in and they simply do not come out. The beacon was weak, irregular, pulsing in a pattern that our ship computer, Gorrath, flagged as non-standard but organic in origin. My commanding officer, Fleet Captain Duvok, a large gray-scaled Veth with 16 years of deep sector experience and exactly 0 sense of humor, turned to me and said, "Vel. Take a ground team. Investigate. Report back." Simple enough, yes? No. Never simple in Sector 12. Our ground team consisted of myself, weapons specialist Brenn, medic Kovas Rin, and a human female we had picked up at the neutral station on Palar 9. Her name was Mira Sone. She was 23 years by human counting, which, in Veth terms, is roughly equivalent to a hatchling who just learned to tie their own boots. She had been traveling as a civilian researcher. She wore a worn brown jacket, carried a battered pack, and smiled constantly, like everything she looked at was mildly hilarious. Brenn did not trust her from the moment she stepped onto our ship. "It is too soft," he told me privately, gesturing at her general form. "It has no defensive biology. Why is it always smiling?" "They do that," I told him. "It is a greeting behavior." "Predators smile," Brenn said. "Brenn," I said, "she studies plant samples. She is not a predator." Brenn stared at Mira across the cargo bay. Mira, completely unaware of this conversation, was eating something called a granola bar and humming to herself. "I still do not trust it," Brenn said. I did not argue further. Honestly, at the time, I agreed with him. The distress site was a crashed survey vessel. Old model. Veth manufactured. Whoever had been flying it had not been Veth, based on the size of the seat configuration and the very human-looking coffee cup still wedged into the console holder. "Oh, this is a T-class rover," Mira said, stepping inside and looking around with wide eyes. "My uncle had one of these. The navigation system is terrible, by the way. Completely unreliable past 40,000 kilometers. Is that relevant right now?" Kovas asked. "Probably not," Mira said cheerfully. "Just saying." The ship had been stripped. Not by salvagers. By something with claws, based on the deep gouge marks running across every surface at a height of approximately 2 meters. Brenn crouched near a set of tracks near the rear exit hatch, studied them for exactly 1 second, then stood up and said, "Drakon slasher." The word hit the room like a physical weight. For those unfamiliar, a Drakon slasher is, to put it politely, one of the most violent biological entities in the catalogued sectors. 6 limbs, 4 of which end in curved blades of hardened bone. Thermal vision. Speed that clocks at nearly 60 kilometers per hour in short bursts. Territorial. Aggressive. And most critically, attracted to sound. Any sound. Kovas looked at Brenn. Brenn looked at me. I looked at Mira. Mira had stopped humming. Good. That was genuinely good. One less noise source. We move back to the ship, I whispered. Slow. Quiet. No sudden movements. Everyone nodded. We were halfway to the exit when Mira's boot caught the edge of a loose floor panel. The clang it produced was not large, as clangs go. It was, objectively, a small clang. A modest clang. The kind of clang that, in any other situation on any other world, would be completely forgettable. In Sector 12, inside a Drakon slasher's claimed territory. It was the loudest sound I had ever heard in my life. The slasher came through the side wall. Not the door. The wall. I want you to understand something about the moment a Drakon slasher enters a room. It does not knock. It does not announce itself. It does not give you the professional courtesy of a warning sound or a territorial growl. One moment, there is a wall. The next moment, there is a Drakon slasher, and the wall is simply gone, and your brain is still trying to process the first fact while your body is already deciding whether to fight or collapse entirely. Brenn, to his credit, raised his plasma rifle in under a second. He got one shot off before one of the slasher's blade limbs swept sideways and sent the rifle spinning across the room and Brenn spinning after it. He hit the far wall with a sound I will not describe, because Kovis later confirmed he survived, and I prefer to remember it that way. Kovis ran. I do not say this as a criticism. Running was, statistically, the correct response. Kovis is a medic. Medics are trained to survive so they can help others survive. Running was professional. Running was smart. I did not run, because my legs had temporarily forgotten their primary function. The slasher turned its head toward me. All four blade limbs shifted in my direction. Its thermal vision locked onto me with the focused patience of something that had never, in its entire evolutionary history, needed to hurry. I thought, very clearly, this is how Gorrath Vel ends. Third-ranking scout. Never made it to second. Mother will be disappointed. And then Mira Sone said, very quietly, from somewhere behind the slasher, "Hey." The slasher paused. I paused. The entire room paused. "Hey," she said again, slightly louder. "Big ugly. Over here." The slasher rotated. Slowly. The way something rotates when it cannot quite believe what it is hearing. Because nothing, in the slasher's experience, had ever voluntarily made noise at it. Everything with a survival instinct went silent. Everything that wanted to live went quiet, went small, went invisible. This human was doing the opposite. Mira was standing near the broken wall the slasher had entered through. Her jacket was off. In her right hand, she held what I initially assumed was a weapon. It was not a weapon. It was a length of metal cable she had pulled from the wall during the chaos. In her left hand, she held the granola bar she had been eating earlier. She threw the granola bar. She threw it directly at the slasher's face. It bounced off its skull plating. The slasher made a sound that, in translation, means something close to, "Excuse me, what?" "Yeah," Mira said. "That was intentional. You have my full attention now?" "Okay. Great. Come on then." She ran. Not away from it. Not toward the exit. She ran along the interior wall of the crashed ship, parallel to the slasher, and the slasher, operating entirely on territorial aggression and, I suspect, pure personal offense, went after her. What happened next took less time than it takes me to describe it. Mira reached the corner where the interior wall met the exposed frame of the ship's broken hull. There was a structural support beam there, sticking out at an angle, about 1 meter above the floor. She hit it with her foot, used it like a step, launched herself upward, grabbed an overhead pipe with both hands, swung her body forward, and came down on the far side of the slasher. In the half-second the slasher took to correct its trajectory, she looped the metal cable around the joint where its primary blade limb connected to its body, planted both feet against its side, and pulled. The slasher, moving at full charge speed, provided the rest of the force. The joint went. The blade limb did not. The sound the slasher made was enormous. It spun, enraged, disoriented, 3 blade limbs flailing where there had been 4. Mira was already gone from that position, already moving, already at the emergency release panel near the rear hatch. She hit it with her palm, the hatch blew open, and the explosive decompression of the pressurized cabin interior sent the slasher tumbling backward through the opening and out onto the rocky ground outside. She slammed the hatch shut. Silence. I counted. Afterward, when I reviewed the recording from my suit sensor, the entire sequence from cable to hatch took 3 seconds and 8/10. I did not speak. I was not capable of speech at that specific moment. Mira looked at the closed hatch. Then she looked at her hands. One of them was bleeding from where the cable had cut into her palm during the pull. She looked at that for a moment, almost curious, like it was mildly interesting data. Then she looked at me. "Is Brenn okay?" she asked. "Not, did you see that?" "Not, I just defeated a Drakon slasher." Not any version of celebration or self-congratulation. Just, quietly, "Is Brenn okay?" I found my voice somewhere around my knees and brought it back up to my mouth. "He is alive," I said. "Good," she said. She picked up her jacket from the floor, shook the dust off it, and put it back on. "We should probably leave before it recovers. That kind of injury will make it angrier, not slower." She was correct. She was completely correct. She was 23 years old, made of soft tissue and no armor, standing in a wrecked ship in the worst sector in the catalogued galaxy, bleeding from one hand, and she was giving tactically sound advice. Brenn, who had regained consciousness somewhere in the middle of all of this, was staring at her from across the room with an expression I had never seen on a Veth face before. It was not fear. It was not admiration, exactly. It was the particular look of a creature that has just been forced, against its will, to completely revise its understanding of what is dangerous in this universe. Kovas, who had come back in the moment the hatch closed, said nothing. Kovas simply stood near the door and stared. We got back to the ship. We filed the report. Fleet Captain Duvok read it twice, which he never does. Then he called Mira into the command deck and looked at her for a long moment. "You used a cable," he said. "It was available," she said. "You used a granola bar," he said. "I needed it to look," she said. Duvok was quiet for a very long time. The kind of quiet that means a senior Veth officer is internally reorganizing a significant number of assumptions. "The ground crew has given you a name," he said finally. Mira tilted her head. "What name?" "Death Whisper," he said. "Because you were quiet until you were not, and by the time it heard you, it was already finished." Mira looked, for just a moment, genuinely embarrassed. The tips of her ears went slightly red, which I later learned is a human physiological response to social discomfort. "That is a lot," she said. "You can just call me Mira." "Yes," said Duvok. He paused. "We will call you Death Whisper." Brenn, standing behind me in the doorway, did not say a single word. But later, when we were back in the cargo bay and Mira had gone to get her hand wrapped by Kovas, he turned to me slowly. "I told you," he said. "You did not tell me this," I said. "I told you predators smile," he said. He walked away before I could respond. And the worst part, the part one have thought about in every rotation since, is that I had no argument to give him. None at all. We are cataloging 247 known apex species across the charted sectors. We may need to renumber the list. Friends, if you are enjoying our videos and want to watch new and exciting sci-fi and HFY stories every day, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to turn on the bell icon so you never miss any of our latest uploads. Like the video and share it with your friends as well, so our community can continue to grow and bring you even more amazing content.